ready.
Welcome to another episode of Buff in the Rough. I've heard old-timers over the years say that they had their gun dog pack and their competition dog pack. They were keeping rabbit dogs at the house with different traits, which gave them a choice of which hounds to load up depending on what type of hunting that they were going to do on that particular day. Grab those slower, honest-mouthed, line-control dogs that rarely broke down on a track on those days when they were looking to put something on the dinner table. And grab those 100 yards in a cloud of dust dogs when you're looking to add a ribbon to their trophy case. Today's hunter is walking that razor's edge on having their cake and eating it too. It's expensive to maintain a pack of hounds, let alone 2 pack of hounds. Why not have a beagle that can do it all? Not only gun hunt and competition hunt, but competition hunt in multiple registries. Does that type of hound exist today? Can you really have it all? Today we'll hear from Zack Kaufman about his Pennsylvania State Hunt winner, Lone Pine Stella, what traits he looks for in a combination hunting dog that can do it all, and a whole lot more. Help me welcome Zack to the program. Well, hey Zack, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Sam. How are you?
I can't complain. I'm really excited to have you on today. I know you're going to bring a new perspective on a couple of things and a couple of questions that I've been wanting to ask somebody for a while. So I'm glad you're on. But before we get started, Zack, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into rabbit hunting?
Yeah, I'm from Dundee, New York. I've been running beagles for probably about 13 years. I actually got started. My dad had a couple buddies that he used to work with, and they'd come down and have it derby. And they'd bring their dogs, and I got talking to one of the guys, and he actually hooked me up with a pup out of one of his stud dogs, and that's how I got started.
And so how many years ago was that? Tell me again.
The dog, I still actually have the dog I got from him. She's 9 years old now. I did have a mutt before that, but once I really started doing trials with that dog.
Well, Zack, as you've gotten started in this thing, you've been doing it for about a decade now. Who's been some of the biggest influences on you?
I'd have to say Matt Szymanski. He's the one who actually hooked me up with a pup. Let's see. Well, Pat Dorn. We've been going to a lot of AKC trials this year, and he actually just got a dog out of that same litter that I just had and that I've been having some luck with lately. So,
Was that now? You're up in New York State. Is that right?
Yep, New York.
Well, tell us a little bit about what it's like to hunt up there. What are the conditions like where you live, and what kind of dog does it take to be successful up there?
Well, I'd say the conditions change day by day for sure. One day you'll be running in snow, and the next day you'll be running on ice or mountain snow. I'd definitely say you need a dog with a big nose and that can run in any conditions, whether it's warm, freezing cold, ice, deep snow. So.
Wow, you guys really do have it all. I've never hunted in New York State, but I've always heard it's really beautiful up there, especially certain times of year. That it's just gorgeous and a really good place to hunt.
Definitely. It's tough to find spots like anywhere else, but once you find them, you're into them pretty good, I would say.
Do you consider yourself more of a competition hunter or more of a pleasure like gun type hunter, or do you do both? I mean, which one do you prefer?
I'd say both. I run dogs whenever I get the chance to. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy the competition hunting, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, what is it about competition hunting that you like?
I think it's just the satisfaction of training your own dogs and seeing how they stand against other people's dogs, just knowing what you got.
So who are some of those, or what are some of those favorite hounds that you've had?
Uh, Lone Pine Stella is probably my all-time favorite. She's my first one. I got lucky with her, I guess. She'll probably be my favorite one for a while, I'd say. She's just a pure hunting dog. Just can run in almost any condition. Just a pleasure to hunt over. She's done well in competition, too.
Well, I was going to ask you to just tell us a little about her. Like, what does she look like? Is she a big dog, little dog, medium? What kind of mouth does she have? Is she? Now I'm assuming she's got a pretty good nose up there, good drive, but just tell us a little about her and what makes her special.
Well, she's definitely got a big nose. She's probably, I don't know, around a 14 and a quarter inch dog. She's tricolor. She's got a fast chop. She's hard hunting and jumps a lot of rabbits. That's probably my favorite thing about her.
And where does she come from? Do you know much about her breeding or any of that? What kennel she came from?
She came from Matt Zemansky's now Lone Pine Blaze, the Lone Pine bloodline came out of Michigan. So.
Okay.
And then the female side that she's out of was a dog out of, I want to say, North Carolina that Eddie Gooch owned. He actually bred him to run deer, I believe, and she became a rabbit dog.
Well, as you've been out there competing, what are some of the best dogs that you've hunted against that really caught your eye?
Oh, one I'd have to say is Dunhill's Comanche. He's owned by Jake Lamphere out of Pennsylvania. He's just a few times I've won against him. He's looked pretty good. Just hard hunting, can drive a track, gets his mouth open too.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I've heard about you, and this is a good question to hear your comments on some of the best dogs. And I'm sorry if I cut you off a little short, but because I know you hunt different registries, you're not just hunting one. I'm thinking you've had success in both UKC and AKC, and so to hear kind of dogs, are the best dogs you've seen in one registry or the other, or have you seen really good dogs in both of those registries?
I've seen good dogs in both registries, and AKC, unless you're judging, you're kind of watching more of your own dog because you can get drawn out with 9 dogs. For UKC, it's a little easier to pick them apart because you're only going up against 3 other dogs and whatnot.
Well, you've been successful recently. I was thinking I saw that you won the Pennsylvania state hunt like maybe a week or so ago.
No, that wasn't a week ago. That was 3 years ago, actually. I think I probably just shared the memory.
Oh, okay. Well, boy, I was going to say, taking an older dog and doing that would be really impressive.
I've been running a lot of AKC this year and doing pretty well on that. Kind of took a break from the UKC right now. Waiting for these young dogs to grow up a little bit.
Well, I wanted to ask you to compare them a little bit, if you could. Can you hunt the same dog in an AKC trial and a UKC trial and be successful, or do they have different characteristics or traits that they reward for each kind of registry? I mean, can you hunt the same dog in both?
You definitely can. For AKC, though, you probably, if you're running more of a UKC dog, you probably want to look for SPO on hair or like SPO on hair, which you'll run cottontails too with some of them, but if you can find SPO on hair, the UKC dogs do pretty well. But I'm not saying you can't go to a cottontail trial and do well too, but you really got to pay attention on who's judging and what they look for.
Mm-hmm. Down here in the South, we just have mostly just cottontail. I don't know that you'd run in a big hair down here. You'd have to go up north, up around you guys, to be able to get into that.
Yeah, I got to travel I don't know, 3 hours to run hare in the wild. They're not local by any means.
Well, you sound like you really enjoy the competition hunting. And you're active in it. You're very active in it. What's maybe one of the hottest hounds right now? One that everybody's talking about.
Um, Up by me, I would say we're talking about that rep dog producing a lot of pups. Mike Ayers had just bought him a couple years ago, and he's been producing a lot of nice dogs around us that they're winning with and whatnot.
Okay, that's a heat 'em up.
Rowdy Reputation
Yeah, Rowdy
dog.
Reputation. A heat 'em up dog. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to argue against him as far as what he's done reproducing wise. Seems to be a lot of.
Not even on the hunt standpoint right now, just on what he's producing, I
Mm-hmm.
would say.
Do you know if they hunt him anymore, or is he retired?
Um, I think they pulled him out for some big hunts, but
Mm-hmm.
nothing, or no small hunts.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell us about a favorite memory that you've had. Maybe it was a big win. Maybe it was just a good day out in the field. What tell us about a good memory.
My favorite memory is probably winning the Pennsylvania State hunt. I'd have to say the first day she won the first 2 rounds. This is with Pine Stella, and then the third day that one she won, but it wasn't cool to see because there's a bad memory in that cast too. I believe the guy's name is Randy Workman, and his dog got caught in a conibear trap, so that kind of put a sour end to it. But I was still happy, that she won and whatnot.
That is a tough memory because it's on one hand it's a very happy memory, on the other hand it's very tragic for somebody else. We know Randy.
It's kind of hard to celebrate when that happens for sure.
Yeah, that was a tough day for Randy and that whole gang up there. But it's hard to win at high levels like that. I mean, like you said, you had to go through multiple rounds to even get to the finals to be able to be in that hunt. Those would have to be sweet. I can understand why you chose that as one of your favorite memories. When you do this for a while, it just happens. Crazy things happen while you're out hunting. Have you ever run across anything like that? What's the craziest thing you've ever seen while you've been out hunting?
My buddy Chris Reed, he was running his male dog, and the dog is running a rabbit, and his dog got caught in a foot trap, and the rabbit got caught in a foot trap right in front of him. And that was probably one of the craziest things that I've ever heard of happening while hunting.
I gotta tell you, Zach, I've heard some crazy stuff. That's one of the craziest. It really is.
It would have been cool to take a picture of, but his dog is, he's just trying to get the dog out of the trap and whatnot.
Absolutely. My goodness. As a competitor, I mean, you want to do well. Everybody wants to win. Is there anybody out there that you just like to beat just a little bit more than anybody else?
Yeah, I would say I like to beat Ed Rogan quite a bit. When I first started getting into the UKC stuff, it seemed like we were drawing out with each other in every cast.
It's good to have some friendly competition out there. Kind of your nemesis, somebody you just kind of look forward to pulling out with in hopes that you beat them. So if you could because again, you've hunted with a lot of dogs, multiple registries, and won at very high levels, won state championships. If you could put together like a dream cast of, we'll just say 4 hounds together to see who's got the best hound, and these could be hounds that are still living, or they could be hounds that are long gone, that are passed on. But if you could put together kind of a dream cast of 4 dogs you'd like to see go head to head like that, what would those hounds be?
My first one would be Lone Pine Stella. My second one would be Lone Pine Blaze. My third one would be, we'll go with Dunhill's Comanche. And my fourth one, we'll put in Banshee. Blackfoot's Banshee, I believe his name is, out of New York. He's won the New York State Championship the last 2 years.
Sounds like some pretty good dogs there. Who's going to win that cast?
Oh boy, put me on the spot here. We'll go with Lone Pine Blaze. I think he'd be hard to beat on the first strike, and I don't think he'd be a slouch on any of the lines either.
Mm-hmm. Everybody has problems. I mean, things come up from time to time when you need advice or help. If you need help with some kind of hound related issue, and you can only call one person, who are you going to call?
I'm probably going to call Matt Zemansky.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing this a lot longer than I have, and he's the one who got me started. So,
have you been able to travel around much going to these different hunts?
Yes, I have. I've been for UKC. I've been to the World Hunt twice when it was in Waynesburg, PA. I've been to the Maryland State Hunt. I've been to the Pennsylvania State Hunt. Where else have I been? I've been to Tennessee for the Clash of Champions. I've been all over, I guess.
Do you have a favorite part of the country you like to hunt in, or maybe a favorite club?
I wouldn't say I have a favorite part. Honestly, I just like going to them all, whatever hunts I can hit.
As you've been out there in these different registries hunting, do you ever get asked to judge?
Yeah, I do actually. Last year I got stuck judging the New York State Championship.
Well, let me ask you this: is there, as you've been out there hunting, is there somebody that you just think has it all together? Like, who's the best judge you've ever hunted with?
Best judge I've ever hunted with. I would say Chris Rogan's pretty good. He'll explain everything to you and just let you know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. That's always good. I know some people, I don't know if it gets on their nerves or not when somebody wants to go over every track, but I kind of like that. I appreciate it. There's no surprises at the end. When you see the scores, everybody knows exactly where they are. So I actually like a talker, a good talking judge.
For sure, it's nice to know where you stand in the cast and what you got to do to win.
I think people. Let me think about how I want to ask this. I think oftentimes we concentrate on the negative. Oh yeah, I got screwed at such and such field trial by so and so because of this reason. I want to ask a different question. I know people have been nice to you while you've been out there hunting, and you've had to catch a break or two. But can you tell us about maybe one of the nicest things that someone ever did for you while you were out on a hunt?
Probably the nicest thing, I guess, is when I first started. I didn't know the rules that great, and I got a little upset, and this guy was judging, and he just, kept his cool. He didn't get mad or nothing, and just explained to me what was going on, and I guess that's about what I got for that.
Mm-hmm.
Just nice to have someone explain to you what's going on and not get mad.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned a couple of different dogs, and they sounded very like they might share some of the same breeding. But do you have a favorite bloodline, or like if you were going to pick a puppy out, if you needed a new project, is there a particular bloodline or maybe even a dog or two that you like to see in a pedigree?
I like the Lone Pine bloodline. I'm starting to like the Awful Bone bloodline quite a bit too. If they're in the bloodline, I'm all for it.
Those are good ones. Yeah. I want to ask you about the rules. I know they're different depending on the registry, but as you've been out there hunting for this past decade, are there any rules that if you had a chance to either add to them or remove them altogether, or maybe modify an existing rule? Are there any rules that you'd like to see changed?
Um, I'd probably change the split track rule. I think you just score off or I wouldn't mind just scoring off the strike order and not scoring the dogs until they're all backing together on the lines.
That's interesting. I never really thought about that.
Just
It sure would be
start
easier
scoring
on
them
the
when they're
judge,
all
I can
back
tell you that.
together.
It would be a lot easier on the judge to
Yeah,
not score them
I
until they
feel
got back
like
together.
either way, someone's going to get hurt on a split track
Zach,
somehow, some way.
I hear you, but I also think there's some folks out there that might be breeding for that almost like independent type dog that likes to run by itself, likes to get that line by itself, likes to circle the rabbit by itself. It reminds me of coon hunting. Used to be all the coon dogs would tree together, and everybody seemed to like that. And then somewhere along the way, the rules maybe changed a little bit, and now that's exactly what you don't want to happen. You don't want your dog treeing with another dog. You want them by themselves. And so sometimes I think maybe it's bleeding over into the rabbit dog scene where instead of everybody's rabbit dogs packing together and running together, it's almost like I think some people would prefer them to split off by themselves and run one. It's a lot of points if you circle a rabbit by yourself over there and get that line by yourself. But maybe that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean it can be, but I also feel like say your dog's way out there and then the pack runs by you and they score. It like I said, it can go either way. But I definitely agree with you.
well, do you think you're going to be doing this? If I called you up 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and just said, "Hey, Zach, how you doing? You still rabbit hunting? You still going to be doing this?"
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you on top of that. Why? Why do you do this? Why do you enjoy it so much? What is it about going to the field with your hound that keeps you motivated to just keep going back day after day?
I think it's just the satisfaction of having your own litter of puppies to start on and then competing in the field, and I just enjoy rabbit hunting, and it's just something to do over the winter for sure too.
Mm-hmm. Well, as we start to wrap up, I do have a couple more questions that I wanted to ask you. And one would be advice. Everybody when they're starting out could use some wisdom from guys that have been doing it for a while. And I think the smart people that are getting into the sport, they seek that. They go out and find somebody that knows more than they know and try to learn from them. But if you could give advice to newcomers that are thinking about getting into rabbit hunting, I mean, what kind of advice would you give to somebody starting out?
I would say try and find someone who knows what they're doing and go out with them and see if you like their dogs, and try starting out with a good dog that's going to suit you and not bore you to death when you're out there running it.
I don't know what it's like. You mentioned having access to land earlier when we were talking is a challenge up there, much like it is in many other parts of the country. What's the biggest challenge that future hunters face?
I would have to say finding spots to hunt. I mean, we got a lot of state land up here and whatnot, but most of it's not going to hold a rabbit. It's mostly all private. You're going to run around us.
Mm-hmm.
It actually is going to have a good number of rabbits to run.
Zach, you mentioned that you had some young dogs or pups that are up and coming. So we know that you still have Stella, and she's probably the queen bee at your house after winning the state championship and whatnot. Well, tell us about kind of what's coming behind her. What if people are paying attention to you and watching you? What hounds are you going to be sneaking into these hunts pretty soon that are that are your up and comers?
Well, Stella had a litter. They're about a year and a half now that she had a litter. I got one dog out of that, and that's that Lone Pine breeding. I bred the Lone Pine male. And then I have a daughter out of Stella. She's 6, and she also had a litter that I bred to an awful bond male. And I had put them into some AKC hunts, and they've done well so far. I haven't put them in too many UKC hunts, but they do got a cast win. So they're my up-and-comers, and so far I like them, but we'll see how they finish.
And I want to finish up by asking you, what are your goals, Zach? What do you want to accomplish? When you look back 10 years from now, is it just to be competitive and to be out there and win a cast or two, or are you wanting to win it all? I mean, are you wanting to win the World Championship, the Nationals, the big hunts? I mean, what's important to you?
Oh, I'd love to win a world hunt. But, I mean, I also want to support the local clubs and whatnot. And I just want to be competitive wherever I go. But I would definitely love to win a world championship someday.
That's a good answer. I like the answer of just being competitive. No matter where you are, whether it's a local hunt, buddy hunt, whether it's just out with your friends and you just want to talk smack to them, you want to win. You want your dog to do the best and show out.
Exactly.
That's a good answer. Well, is there anything that I didn't ask you about that I should have, or is there anything else you want to cover or promote?
Well, I'm a member of the Corning Beagle Club. They got their license trial coming up in May. I believe it's 23rd and 24th. If your dog's registered in AKC, I'd say come give it a try.
Very good. Very good. So, folks, check out the Corning Beagle Club and their May hunt. Well, very good. Well, Zach, it has been a pleasure to talk to you. I've heard a lot about you. I've certainly seen you on the interweb as I scroll around winning hunts, and I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk with us today.
Oh, thank you, Sam. I appreciate the opportunity.
My pleasure. Thank you for listening to Buff in the Rough. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to be notified when new content is available. And please send comments and suggestions to buffintherough@gmail.com.